G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is a very cold and blustery Monday morning here in Melbourne, Australia, but I thought I'd do some casting. I tell you what, it's so cold. I actually have a jumper on. I suppose for the American viewers, that's what you call a sweater, I think. We call it a jumper. I don't know why there's a difference in what that is, but whatever. The English language is a terrible and weird thing, but anyway, let's talk about some StarCraft. We've got a Protoss versus Terran coming at you right now. It is going to be on Whirlwind. Also, standard disclaimer, I am using a different UI. If you have some feedback, please feel free to let me know what you would like to see in a UI, but this is just a work in progress at the moment, so, keep that in mind. Anyway, our Protoss player down at the bottom right-hand side of this extremely large map is AR's Horazon. Horazon? Did he spell Horizon wrong? No, I'm gonna guess that it's Horazon. It means something, but I have no idea. Down on the bottom left-hand side is our blue Terran player. Down here is someone which I certainly like to watch streaming every now and then. He is a mech Terran, very similar to me as well, so I'm expecting a little bit of mech out of him here today. It is Echo's HTOMario. So, we have had, I believe I've done 1 or 2 casts of Mario before, and also if you guys are watching WCSNA, which was on this morning my time, he was actually playing against a couple of people there, had an interesting matchup against Noni. I'm not going to spoil it, but you can, well, maybe go and watch the VODs. I don't know where they are on the MLG site. I don't know if they've sort of fixed that thing up, but either way, had a bit of a match with Noni there, and I heard it was a little bit interesting. Anyway, of course, as I said, he's a pretty big-time mech player. He was in GM last season, I believe, if I remember correctly. He was in GM and is not afraid to throw out the mech against the Protoss player, as well as in TvT and TvZ as well. So we'll see if he is going to go in that direction here today. Of course, make sure you are tuning in to my Twitch stream as well. You can see me doing a little bit of mech. That's over at twitch.tv/DuckPhilLol. And also, of course, I am streaming on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at about 7 PM my time, which I suppose to compare to US East Coast is about 4 or 5 AM US East Coast time. I believe that's correct. I don't really know. Either way, it is, if you're up late and you want to tune in, please feel free to do so. You can watch me attempting some mech, obviously not the same level as HTOMario here, but definitely doing my best. Looks like he is going to come down here, throw down a bunker in the middle of the mineral line here. Now, the reason that he's thrown it in this position is, of course, that it limits the surface area that, that Horazon can attack onto. He's basically got only this position here. So if the SCV stays out of danger, as we can see, the SCV of HTOMario is just moving into a beautiful position at the back and then across to this side as well. Wow, that is the best of luck. But the probes will be enough. Of course, it only takes around about, I believe it's 5 or... actually, maybe it is just that flat 6 to actually kill the bunker before anything useful can happen. But a Marine has made its way across the map, unfortunately for Mario, not able to get it across in time. Back at home, it looks as if he is getting, he does have a reactor out and gets 2 Reapers started. So this is going to be a Reactor Reaper opening from our Terran player here. I must admit, I've never seen someone do this kind of thing against the Protoss player. Of course, it does set your economy back just a tiny bit because your command center going down to the natural is delayed. And Horazon, actually, well, I suppose we didn't particularly see it, but of course, I'm sure some of you would have guessed at the fact that he did go for a Nexus first here in this in the PvT matchup. Of course, a nice build to utilize on this very large map. That's actually another thing that I wanted to point out on this map. Mech can be a very difficult kind of thing to utilize, so I'm actually really interested to see how HTOMario goes about this. Of course, the 2 Reapers not able to deal with a Mothership Core and the Stalker, so this guy is going to have to head back home, but luckily a couple of his buddies are going to stream their way across the map as quick as they can go, just genning across. Of course, the last one is going to try and regen some health here. In fact, that's already all done. And we'll see how much damage Mario is able to get done here. But back at home, he is expanding, got the bunker going up at the front, the command center also getting started as well at the natural. So he's just going to try try and get his economy back into shape. Of course, having the mules always helps, but having this kind of damage getting done is also a pretty cool tactic here. And with 3 Reapers, it only takes a couple of salvos from these guys to take down probes, and unfortunately 2 of the Reapers get caught out by the probes. Very unfortunate there for HTOMario. These guys could have done a lot more damage. Getting 6 kills, certainly pretty good for the start of a matchup, but as we can see, with double Nexus already up, double Chrono and double Pro production, Horazon is going to stay quite far ahead for a very large portion of the early game here. So HTOMario is perhaps just, you could say he's slightly behind, but his 3rd command center is about to pop up here, and with the extra mules and the extra SCV production, I would assume that he's going to be quite fine after all of this. He's going to produce a couple of Widow Mines. Some Marines also going to go to the front to defend with that 1 bunker already up. He is okay to deal with these first couple of stalkers that are going to poke out from Horazon. He's just going to leave them at the front though. Did have a quick peek to see what's going on and saw that the bunker was there. Definitely cannot push up any further now that this Widow Mine is prepared. So we'll see how things go from this point. Of course, as a Protoss player, I don't really know if Horazon is aware that Mario does like to do a bit of mech, but I'm sure he's going to find out very soon. Of course, we'll probably see a couple of factories go down very soon once the minerals are available for HTOMario here. But in fact, he's just going to stabilize his economy and get a couple of turrets out. So we'll see how Horazon deals with seeing a mech player. Of course, in PvT, when you're trying to deal with a mech player, there's a few things that I always sort of try and exclaim when you are dealing with a mech player, is that you do need to expand pretty quickly. Expanding far away is always good, like up to the corners of the maps. Of course, one of the big parts of playing a mech player is that they're very immobile. Of course, tanks and Thors are very slow. If you add in Banshees, it can be a little bit harder to deal with. But of course, those guys need to have cloak, otherwise they're pretty much pointless at some stage of the matchup. But we'll see how Mario is going to go about this. I would assume that he's going to start the factories. Yeah, there's number 2 and there's number 3 now starting up. So he's going to get around about 3 to start with. Off 2 bases, you can roughly sort of head to around about 4 factories, and you should be okay to produce out of that. One thing which we will keep an eye out for are the armories, which will probably need to get started pretty soon from HTOMario if he wants to keep up in the upgrade war, because our good Protoss buddy back at home has already gotten started on his +1 to weapons. He's got a robo facility here. He's got a couple more gates now just warping in as well. So he's going to have a decent amount of production coming out very, very soon. We'll see how he's going to utilize that. Of course, picking up Blink, a useful upgrade to have here in this matchup. Now, you may wonder, what are you going to do with Blink Stalkers? But I tell you what you can do is you can actually just blink up here. I'm pretty sure you can actually blink straight up into the main from the side. If you get those Stalkers into the right position, get in an observer or something up here, you can just blink straight in and get some damage done. And as we said before, what you want to really do as a Protoss player in this matchup is abuse the immobility of tanks and the Thors and all these kinds of things. So, and what a big key thing is also is you want to try and take your opponent down before they can get to that late game composition of Battlecruiser, Ghost, and Viking, which is a very, very hard thing to deal with as a Protoss player. So we'll see what Horazon is going to do about that. His 3rd base is now up and running. HTOMario, not afraid of his positioning here, has got his own 3rd base up and running. With the 6 gas now coming in, his production is going to certainly start creeping up quite a bit. Tanks on the way, some Hellbats as well. I'm very interested to see what his mixture is going to be. A lot of players tend to favor having a lot of Hellbats in the mix. Like, I think if you go and watch some of SCA Lucky, he actually likes to throw in a huge amount of Hellbats with his various pushes, and and then some other players like Strelok, if you're watching WCS EU, he threw in a huge amount of tanks. Like, we saw him going up to like 19, 20, even further with the tank count as well, and that can be a pretty interesting thing to try and deal with a Protoss player as well. So looks like a couple more factories now inside the main base here for HTOMario. He does have that Raven out. The Raven is a very key thing. I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that that guy is there. Having that there to detect any of these observers that are around the map and be able to shoot them down before you look to push out is a very, very key part of actually staying alive as a mech player, because you need to be able to stop the observers from scouting out where your movements are, where your positioning is, and if possible, of course, what the exact composition that you have is here. And now, as we can see, we have got the +1 upgrades on the way for HTOMario. He's got a Ghost Academy coming through as well. Back at home for Horazon, he's got a few Immortals already out, so he is moving into that very, the anti-mech composition, which a lot of players will generally move to. Of course, Immortals, with their Hardened Shield, will be able to soak up a huge amount of tank shots, whether it be the just a standard shot or the actual siege mode shot as well, adding in a few zealots as well, and it looks as if he is going to expand up towards the top right hand side too. So very good, just sort of I suppose reaction to scouting out a mech play here from Horazon. What I would really like to see him do is actually take a 5th base as well at the same time. Perhaps one over up to the top left-hand side or something like that, just to make sure that he is keeping his economy in a little bit of a better position than the Terran player. So you do need to kind of think of it as it's sort of like the matchup switches around. Instead of like this being a Protoss player dealing with a mech player, it's kind of like being a Zerg dealing with a Protoss in a way, because the mech composition is extremely powerful. The siege tanks, of course, doing that bonus damage to armored units, being 28 in non-siege mode, but what is it, like 55 when they switch into siege mode, and just smashing apart things like Stalkers, like the Zealots, and if a couple of EMPs go down, they can also take care of Immortals as well. So you do need to think of it in the fact that you need to be outproducing a mech Terran player. So that's a very key thing to keep in mind when you are playing against the mech. And as we can see, Horazon still just going to take his time. He is sending up some probes towards the top right-hand base here that has now been established. He's up to 71 probes right now. Looking good is his economy. And HTOMario, not too bad himself, up to 83 SCVs. This is a wonderful position to be in as a mech player. And, you know, I sort of said before, I'm not sure how I feel about mech on this map, but watching how HTOMario is doing this, I really do like the way he's got a lot of tanks. He's got these Hellbats now loading up. He's going to try and do some drop attacks with those guys to see if he can halt the economy of his opponent. And I like these supply depot wall-ins. They remind me a little bit of what Flash used to do back in Brood War, when you try and stop your opponent from being able to push in certain ways. It sort of just slows them down and sort of lets you buy time for your tanks and things to move into position. So we'll see what HTOMario is going to do here. It looks as if this observer has scouted out exactly what is going on. Double cannons inside the main base, inside that natural base here. Probably won't be able to get too many probe kills, but if he targets them down, he may be able to get some. Goes for a couple, gets maybe 1, 2, 3... Not really too many, but I mean, yeah, it's only just 3 at the moment, and I doubt that he's going to get another shot off on those probes. So the Stalker's warping in back home, a couple of Zealots coming across, and that's going to be the end of that. But now up at the top side here, HTOMario discovering that there is another base up here, and the cannon's actually easily disposing of that medevac before it is able to drop off the cargo, which would have been... if he was able to stop this base from mining for a little bit, then that would be an excellent position to be in as a Terran player with mech. If you can stop, as we said before, if you can stop the economy from booming too far ahead, then you can really be in a good position, just because of how well mech trades with Protoss once you've got the correct composition. So I know there's quite a lot of like qualifiers here, guys, in regards to you know, how to play this particular matchup. But as we can see, Horazon is doing an excellent job. He's going to push in towards the top the top left-hand side here with the tank siege up, even without too many EMPs. In fact, I think we saw 1 EMP go down. A couple of Hunter Seeker missiles will go out, but the Zealots back at the 4th base are doing a lot of damage as well. More warp-ins inside the main, DTs as well. Perfect compositions here from Horazon to attack his opponent. You do need to get these kind of production attacks going off here against the mech player, and he's doing an excellent job of that. It's slowed down the 4th from mining. As we can see, this composition is just so slow at pushing up the ramp. You've got to choke up here with all of these units trying to get in here, and while that's all going on, the Zealots are just tearing apart some of these buildings, slowing down some of the production, and now, of course, slowing the mining at the 4th. So now Horazon is just sort of biding his time. He needs to be very patient with how he maneuvers about the map. He needs to continue this harassment, trying to stop his opponent from getting too far ahead in an economic state right now. And, well, it looks like that Mothership core got a little bit greedy, but the tank's now coming back into position here for HTOMario, just getting prepared to defend the attack at his 3rd base. But it looks as if Horazon is actually just doing a wonderful job with his harassment. He would love to see him target down these armories. These are very important buildings here of course, not only allowing you to build the Thors and, of course, those important Hellbats, which help in defending against these Zealots, but they also have the 3-3 upgrades going. But unfortunately, Horazon not worried about that at the moment. We see a Hunter Seeker Missile trying to take care of a War Prism there. A very interesting thing to see. But the Archons and the Immortals at the front, I feel like the Ghosts coming in from HTOMario have just been a little bit late right now. He's only got 2, has lost a couple in these various battles, and I feel like without the Ghosts and having to segment his forces so much, he's just sort of suffering a little bit more than he possibly could have. But of course, you know, we'll see how he goes. It looks as if a missile turret across to the side. This SCV has got high hopes for that, but that is not going to happen. And as we can see, the supply count of Horazon just continues to stay up at a high amount right now with his 5 bases. Now, mining relatively efficiently, of course, up towards the top right-hand side of the map. He's got those extra bases, his 3rd, and the natural starting to look a little bit low in the mineral count right now. The main, of course, is doing still a little bit of work there, but the big thing is that these 3 robo facilities constantly pumping out Immortals. We've got upgrades level 1 all the way, a little bit slow perhaps for Horazon, but he has gotten the level 3 attack upgrade up and running, and that means that these Immortals do 865 damage against armored targets, which includes the destructible rocks right there, I might just point out. But we'll see how he's going to go here. It looks as if another little proxy attack coming in from the War Prism there. HTOMario, these Hellbats need to get into action here a little bit later, unfortunately, so they do get torn apart by the by those Zealots there. And these Marines, these are interesting factor here. They are adding in, like, how much supply is that? That's 11 supply invested in Marines. That could be a few tanks, could even be a Thor if need be. It could be quite a few Ghosts as well, and that's one thing which I think we may see come about from Mario. He's going to have to sacrifice those because you just do not want that supply invested in Marines at this point. They do nothing against Archons, they do nothing against charge lots, and of course even a few Immortals can take them down quite easily. So we'll see if he's going to start to switch that up a little bit. Looks like an attack will come in from both sides, so huge amounts of cotton balls down to the right. The Archons just sweeping in from the side, flanking in on HTOMario, but a couple of EMPs go down, nicely done, able to just destroy the majority of the units there. And as you can see with the power of EMP there, 5 Ghosts throwing out a few EMPs, able to bring down the shields of the Archons and of course those Immortals, meaning that the tanks were able to go to town on all of those units there with the 65 damage from the Crucio shock cannon there. And that sort of, you know, it brings back the supply and brings HTOMario into the lead, 155 right now. He's got 3 Thors on the way. Some Hellbats are also being produced along with 3 more Ghosts at a time. This is exactly what we want to see. You want to see the player sort of move into around about 10, anywhere upwards of 10 Ghosts is where you want to be, because EMP is just so powerful in this position here. But one thing we do want to allude to is the vision on the map for Horazon. He's currently got pylons everywhere. He's controlling the Xel'Naga Watchtower from effectively the start of the game. Zealots at all the various bases to keep an eye on where HTOMario is expanding. And of course, you know, we've got this little one just down here to keep an eye on any drops that may come across. So HTOMario not looking to transition into what I would consider the normal sort of late game mech composition, which is to go for that Ghost Battlecruiser mixture. He's just going to stick with this sort of factory-based composition here. Of course, Thors are extremely powerful as long as they've got some Ghosts to support and of course some Hellbats on the ground, because one thing that Thors do not deal well with is a lot of Zealots on the ground. But now we can see that Horazon just moving forwards with some Immortals, just throwing them at the wall and seeing what sticks. He was able to take out a command center that was here, but the tanks do roll across and are able to defend this position right now. So HTOMario, he's got 3-3 upgrades on these vehicle units. Of course, the Vikings up in the sky have +3 on their plating right now, but the big issue is that the economy is just looking fantastic right now for our Protoss player. He's got 6 bases, all of that gas coming in, 12 gas at a time, and this allows him to move forwards towards this late game composition, which is extremely deadly. The Void Ray and possibly Tempest composition, which may come out of him. Yeah, the Fleet Bacon gets started, +1 on the air weapons is on the way. A few more observers are going to come out to make sure he can spot those Ghosts, of course, which can be very dangerous with their EMPs and possibly nukes if need be. but he is going to move up towards a large count of Void Rays right now. I would expect him to possibly head up all the way to, you know, something like 20 Void Rays, something like that would be a perfect sort of mixture for him right now. He's got 9 out at the moment. He's got a singular Immortal out on the map, a singular Stalker as well, controlling that middle Xel'Naga watchtower. 85 probes. We may see him start to sacrifice some of these probes very soon, because having 85 is also, you know, perhaps not exactly where you would want to be at this point. You may want to throw away sort of 10 to 15 of those very soon, just so we can add in a few more Void Rays, and of course those Tempests we mentioned. Meanwhile, for HTOMario, 59 SCVs. This count is fine. Of course, you've got a lot of mules available. We've got a few Thors out, 6 Thors in total. We'll probably see them switch across into the high impact payload mode very soon. 14 Hellbats now out on the ground as well. We've got a couple of Vikings up in the sky and 10 siege tanks to go along with that. And as we said, that money sort of number right now, 12 Ghosts. And this is a very, very strong composition here from HTOMario. He needs to be very careful with how he maneuvers the forces. You need to be very strategic and make sure you're taking advantage of the terrain as best as possible. But also importantly is sieging up right on time. But the interesting factor in this sort of position of the game right now is that sieging is not going to do much. We've got all of these Void Rays up towards the top right hand side of the map. Tempests are on the way as well. Shields being researched as well. And I don't think that there's any way that that Horazon is actually going to be able to defend this with the Ghosts and the tanks just rolling in here. He's going to siege up. He's going to lay waste to this third base very quickly. The Void Rays finally responding. They're going to make their way across the map. But the big question will be, can he save his bases in time? Of course, as we can see now, the tanks have just obliterated this base. The Nexus is about to go down, and now the rest of the units are pushing in towards the natural, laying waste to some of the economy here, getting rid of a few of the probes. And Nexus, of course, very important, not only for the probe production, these kinds of things at the late game, but also for the Chrono Boost as well. And now with the Robo facilities in danger, I'm not... This could turn around the other way, pretty much because... our Protoss player is sort of sitting here. He's thinking, I've got all these Void Rays. Do I really care about the gateways and the robo facilities back home? He's got a decent bank, 1,700 minerals, 3,600 gas as well. And though these Thors and the tanks will blast apart these units here, I'm not really sure what HTOMario is up to. He's sort of going back home, trying to micro some of this attack. There was a Zealot attack here at the attempted the fifth base of HTOMario, and now he's going to be aware that the Viking threat, the Void Ray threat is now out. The Tempest coming across as well. Look at the damage that these guys do. 17 damage. Sorry, I suppose it's double because it is per 0.5 of a second. HTOMario forced to retreat right now. The tanks probably could be left back in here to destroy the rest of the buildings inside the main, but both players now in the red. HTOMario is starting to mine very, like a little bit inefficiently. Of course, you know, 0 is a pretty inefficient number, but the Void Rays, the Zealots on the ground, Horazon in a very, very good spot right now. He's got this composition of the Void Ray Tempest and of course those Zealots on the ground, which you know, you sort of look at it and you think, why do you need the Zealots? These guys are to deal with the Thors. If the Thors get into position and with a few splashes of their rockets, of course, as you can see there, the Ghost is blasting away the shields of the Void Rays, and if they clump up, if the Thors can go to town on them, they will obliterate these guys very, very quickly here. But we can see that with the Zealots on the ground, moving forward to attack the production facilities of HTOMario, is going to start losing these buildings here, which means his production is going to start to fall into a heap, and things may start to switch around a little bit here. As we can see, Horazon is building up his pylon count back at home at the top base, the new home here in the top section of the map. He's going to build a couple of proxy bases as well. Wants to make sure that he is still in the lead for the majority of this game right now, as the Zealots just tear their way through the main base here. The starport under fire right now. We did see, interestingly, where are they? There was some... Actually, where's the button? There it is. Oh, it's only one mine at the moment. I was going to say, Mario building up some, was attempting to build up some Widow mines now, but he has had to halt production. Of course, those Zealots out here just causing all sorts of strife at the base. But now with the Void Ray composition, they've got their shields back, as we can see. Going to probably produce a few more. Yeah, there's more Tempests on the way. 5 Tempests at a time, +2 on the air upgrades, +1 on the air armor upgrades as well. Meaning that he's going to really start to power up this composition, and HTOMario needs to get some Thors and some Vikings out, because this is just going to start to get very, very hairy for him. But as we can see, the Ghost getting targeted down, but EMPs do get off in time, and there is a shot from some of the Thor's able to take down one of the Void Rays, but the Void Ray count still sits at a dangerous total of 18. And as we can see, with the Tempest count starting to increase, now up to a total of 7. Things are going to get a little bit messy right now for HTOMario, but we'll see what he can do. If he can perhaps attack in this direction towards this top base here, if he can take this base out, if he can maybe come in towards the production facilities that are here as well and take out those Stargates, then he may be able to salvage this, because things are currently looking a little bit dangerous right now. But a couple of EMPs taking down, well, almost some of these Tempests here, but unfortunately, he's going to have to back off for the moment. Looks like we've got a couple more factories now building up. Some Widow Mines also in construction right now, but the Carriers is going to start to come out, and these guys can almost seal the deal for Horazon, but we'll see if he is going to be able to get them out in time. Of course, the composition which you generally sort of look for if you are looking to deal with Carriers in this matchup now is something akin to the, you can either go in the direction of the Thor Battlecruiser Ghost. Of course, the Thors do bonus damage with their anti-air Punisher cannons when they're in high-impact payload mode, of course. The Battlecruiser's able to Yamato cannon on top of things like the Tempest, the Void Rays, and of course the Carriers as well. This is all relying on the fact that you do get those EMPs out from the Ghost. So those very important factors right here. Looks like HTOMario is going to lose some of those tanks towards the top. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't need that supply in the tanks right now. What he does need to get out is exactly what is coming. A couple more Thors, maybe some Widow Mines as well. If he can put some Widow Mines in some money spots, he may be able to grab some kills on these the Void Rays and the Tempest as well. But with the Carriers starting to come out, one very, very annoying thing to deal with when you do have the Widow Mines is that they target the Interceptors, which, you know, is almost a complete waste, considering that the shot from a Widow Mine is a little bit more important on top of a Carrier or a Void Ray or something like that compared to an Interceptor. But I'm still sort of struggling to see how HTOMario is going to salvage this. Of course, as we can see, the Tempest count just up at a very dangerous 7. We've got 4 Carriers out. We'll probably see. Oh no, he's not gonna. Is he going to get rid of some of these probes? He could possibly get rid of some more of these probes here, but he is going to establish another base here. Horazon just looking to try and firm his economy up, making sure that things are all in the correct position right now. +3 to weapons, +2 to armor, and a Storm also being researched for the Protoss right now. So looks as if he's just making sure things are all safe and sound. Meanwhile, for Mario, does have this base up and running. Finally getting some minerals coming in with all of these mules to drop down on this base. His 4th base down to the southern side is almost mined out as well. Of course, there's still a lot of gas to come in, but with the mules dropping down on these bases, it means that you sort of start to lose some of that very, very quickly here, and the air army is starting to make its way across the map. He did have control of the Zelnaga watchtower here, so he was able to make his way stealthily across. The turret goes down. The planetary in seconds goes down. Factories also going to just be obliterated within seconds there. The mine's going to burrow towards the back side there, but not really going to be able to get too much damage done. Horazon says, alright, that's one of your bases gone. Don't need to worry about that. Just going to push back across the map. Going to make sure the economy is still looking pretty good and firm everything up here to prepare for what could be the possible final push here very, very soon. So HTOMario, like, as I said, in this position, I'm very, very curious to see what he's going to do. He's going to bring out a lot of Vikings right now. We do already have a sizable total out in the sky. 11 are already out. He does, of course, have those 10 Thors, and that is a very dangerous thing to comprehend if he's going to use the high-impact payload mode. I kind of, personally, I think high-impact payload mode is actually just wonderful for the Thors. They do a huge amount of damage, 30 damage there with +3 on their upgrades. And of course, they do, you know, they could just tear apart units very, very quickly here. And of course, they do the bonus to massive as well. So, we'll sort of see. This is going to be a very interesting fight. It's going to rely on Mario getting those EMPs down. We do have a total of 3 ghosts at the moment. Not exactly the money number you are looking for right now, but he also has the Widow Mines. These guys, there is a massive total of Widow Mines out right now. 18 Widow Mines, but the key is getting them into position before they get torn apart by the Void Rays, the Tempest, and of course the Carriers as well. Looks like he's going to try and do exactly that, just trying to maneuver them underneath the Carriers and everything there, but unfortunately not able to move them across in time. The Void Rays have taken out that command center that was there, and now he's sort of just moving back. He's going to try and take advantage of this position here. Of course, if Horazon could just sort of hold position just up the back here and just sort of attack into this base, then he will be able to just sort of deny the mining for quite a while. And if HTOMario cannot get this base up and running, I hesitate as to see what he's going to be able to do here. But a couple of good EMPs were shot off on those Void Rays. It looks like their shield's going to have to take some time to recharge. A couple of Thor shots also did a very nice amount of damage there. And I think we may see these Widow Mines, if they can maneuver into position, perhaps if he can... there is a turret here, very oddly placed, but a couple of Widow Mines perhaps just sort of sitting around these areas here to cover any retreat of this Air Force could be a deciding factor in this game. But as we can see, Horazon just going to make sure that this base is denied for the time being. But one important thing here is that these DTs keep coming in, and if they can start to cut down that Thor count, then things certainly will start to turn the way of Horazon, just like with a snap of the fingers right now. But Horazon is going to be able to push back across. It looks like HTOMario will try and maneuver his way into position here. The Widow Mines going to look to try and burrow as quickly as they can. Will they get a good shot off? No EMPs able to throw down, but they do get the shots off and brings the Void Ray count down to 11. But the big question is there still enough? HTOMario not targeting down some of these high yield units here, the big carriers, and of course the Void Rays there, interceptors being targeted down, and I think that may be it. There is just not enough here for our Terran player. He was able to get some good shots off with those Widow Mines. With the Zealots now coming across, Doors are not very good at dealing with Zealot, Void Ray, Carrier, and Tempest. And that is probably going to be it for the Terran player right here. No way to deal with all of this. He's going to try and escape right now, but no escape. The Tempest with their ridiculous range, of course, looking at a range of 15. They are able to take care of the last remaining units, and the Void Rays do the rest of the job. And HTOMario forced the GG there. A really interesting game there. Of course, I think the reactions of Horazon were just perfect across the board there. He was expanding very quickly, getting his bases up towards the top right-hand side, very spread out, abusing the immobility. Was then also doing drops across this section here in the main, and also the third or fourth base of HTOMario, just sort of denying his mining for quite a while. And despite losing his natural, his third, and also a section of the main as well, he got that carrier, the Void Ray, Tempest, and then eventually Carrier fleet up and running, and was able to take care of the Terran player there. So I hope you guys all enjoyed that game. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all next time. Dangerous to try and push through just because of the very small amount of space that's there. With a couple of tanks on the high ground, we may see the blue Terran just absolutely smash him apart. But as we can see, Aegis says, I'm going to come through to the front of the natural.